All right, time for another Walking Dead retro review, and today we're looking at episode 4. It's called Vatos. I'm Justin, and I've got my Vatosis with me now. Is that the plural of Vatos?
I don't even know what Vatos mean.
I don't either. Does it mean friend?
I think, yeah. Well, that's amigo.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
Metadubs.
And we are discussing episode 4, and Jessi just watched it at my house. I watched it yesterday, and then I watched it again with Jessi. Matt, you watched it yesterday, correct?
Yeah, I rewatched it.
And so this episode, Jessi, I'm interested to hear what you thought, because of course you went from first episode not liking it to now you do like it. So what did you think of Vatos?
I really loved it. I was really into it.
Do you want to know a depressing fact about this episode?
Sure.
So I'll tell you, you never see them or that place ever again.
What?
Like that's the last time you see it. So,
yeah.
But
I mean, because they're coming, they gotta go.
Well, there's a deleted scene, like a full-out scene, where Rick and the group go back to Atlanta, to that nursing home, and everyone's dead.
What?
And granted, that scene was not in the show. It's still I still consider it canon. Like, we know those people didn't survive.
What the heck, that fast?
Hispanic Ludacris is dead.
Dude, not the Hispanic Ludacris.
Because Guillermo, Matt, didn't you think he looked like a Hispanic Ludacris?
Yes, he very much did.
Dude, there's no question about it. 100%.
It's like, but what I was going to tell you was, all right, so some of their dialogue is a bit cringy.
Yeah.
However, it makes a lot of sense. Because like when he's like, I got my dogs from Satan at a yard sale. I was like, what a stupid line. But then you realize, like, he's putting on a front. Like, they're not bad, evil people, but he has to be that person to scare off, because they said they've had a lot of run-ins with really bad people, and they're protecting all of these old people. So a lot of that was meant to be cringy because it's an act. He's trying to play this hard ass that he's actually not.
But who can look at Rick and be like, that's a bad guy?
You're right.
But he had Daryl with him, so maybe.
And Daryl was acting like a bad guy.
They're like the yin and yang. Rick and Daryl.
They really are.
Yeah.
For a while there.
They complement each other.
Matt, as someone who is current on the show as I am, how does it feel to go back and see like where it started? Do you think the show has gotten better, or do you think that that's like the best it ever was?
I think they both have their like the first. I suppose the first half of Walking Dead has its charm. The other half has its charm.
Yeah, I'd say like season 1 is more organic, but as you get into the season, the cinematography gets better, the film quality gets better, like, you know, the acting gets better, but there's something charming about the first season.
It's nostalgic for you guys, I feel like.
It really is. And which Matt actually just within the last, has it been a year or has it been 2 years already? Matt not long got into The Walking Dead.
Well, then that's not
about
nostalgia.
A year. It was I think summer of 2020 when Rona was in full swing and we had nothing to do. So
So you're coming up on 2 years.
This
summer will make it 2 years.
And how many But Justin's been at it for like 20 years. So.
Since it started.
Pretty nostalgic.
Pretty damn nostalgic. Now, of course, this episode starts with them on the roof, and once again, we find Rick Grimes pointing his gun at Daryl's head.
Yep.
It seems to be a common theme in the first season. The hand is there, and they're, you know, tracking Merle, like where he's been, and you see like he cauterized his wound and jumped out of a window, apparently.
He's a smart guy.
God dang it, Merle.
You can kind of see Daryl's evolution, though, in this episode really start because, you know, like with Glenn, you know, Rick tells Daryl and T-Dog, like, y'all can go. Y'all should just take the van and go back to camp. Daryl has no dog in this fight in the sense of you think he don't give a shit about Glenn. He's just looking for his brother. But, like, he could have just left, but Daryl decides to stay to help get Glenn back. Like, that was the only thing keeping them there.
Maybe he's just a pussy and he doesn't want to go out by himself.
Guys, it's going to be dark soon. I don't like the dark.
I really don't like it.
So I'm kind of scared. And, of course, we know T-Dog, Theodore Douglas. That's his name in the show, by the way, if you didn't know. It's T-Dog is what they call him, but it's
That makes sense.
His name in the show is Theodore Douglas. You knew he was down because T-Dog's just the greatest.
He really is. He's a good dude.
He's good people.
I said it before and I'll say it again. We need more people like him.
Have you said that before?
Place.
I said it on my TikTok.
Oh, okay. Yeah, T-Dog is awesome. And Dale. Dale, again, do you still like Dale?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm looking, so Matt, let's see. So I'm looking at the people so tell us, Jessi, up to episode 4, who are your favorite characters?
Definitely Glenn. I really like Dale because he's a funny old dude and he cares about his tools, and that's just like so, what is the word? Stereotypical for old guys.
Right.
Yeah, those are my favorite ones.
So
I like
Dale and Glenn.
Dale and Glenn, and I like T-Dog because he's just so nice.
Yeah, Matt, up to this point in the show, let's think back to when you had first seen it. We're rewinding. Up to this point, who would you say your favorite characters were? Like, imagine you haven't seen it up to now, but like back when you were watching it, up to episode 4, who would your favorite character or characters have been?
Rick, T-Dog. I think I start getting more invested in Daryl around that episode.
Well, it's like I said, he starts his evolution here because he's kind of an asshole and he just wants his brother, but he decides to stay and help get Glenn back, even though
redeeming.
There. I remember watching it for the first time when Glenn got captured and thinking for a second like Daryl wasn't going to give a shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, he actually tried. He tried to get him back, and then he does go and help get him back. You start to see some good in Daryl in this episode. Like, I feel like his talk with Rick, when Rick, like, they go there, and number one, the young guy, Felipe's cousin, I can't remember the young guy's name, but like, I would have gotten a new group of friends after all this. I'm like, yo, you was willing to trade me for guns?
For real.
Like, you let them take me back. This is the worst hostage situation ever. But, you know, and it's Felipe's cousin. It ain't just some dude. That's his cousin. And Felipe never objects. Like, well, first they just left him.
Right.
Now, I know the walkers were closing in, so that was a little bit more forgivable. But then it's just like, he doesn't even object. They're like, yo, that's my cousin. Like, we can't let. He just like whatever G says.
Like, at least give us half the guns. Come on.
Did you like the little twist at the end? Did you see that coming? That they really weren't bad people. They were just protecting the elderly.
I did like that.
I thought it was very sweet.
It was very sweet. It was definitely a twist because
are you here to arrest my grandson?
Right. Oh
yes,
man.
Yes.
Oh, I loved her.
The way she talks, if you really, really listen, when she's like, he have his troubles, but we need him here's. Like she actually says like here's, not we need him here.
It's probably how she really talks.
And she rolls it. She's like, we need him here. We need him here. He has his trouble, but we need him here.
But Rick was super smart to pull that card. Like, no, he's helping us find a missing person, because like that is gonna speak to like the grandma,
the sweet old lady,
right? Like, oh, he's actually doing something right. Good, and you know, like she's used to him being a bad boy or something. I don't know.
I just love that she's so oblivious to the apocalypse that like she thinks a cop's there to arrest her grandson.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
Well, in her defense, I mean, Atlanta, I mean.
Yeah, but it's like people are eating people on the streets. But yeah, we're still making arrests for petty crimes.
Yep.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I know the world's ended, but Felipe here, he stole a couple of snacks from the local convenience store. And this is the third time. We got to take him in.
We got to take him in the slammer.
Take me a solid 2 weeks to realize that Atlanta now has a zombie apocalypse.
So I hope I didn't influence you on Andrea, but you don't seem to like Andrea very much.
No.
I hope I didn't influence that.
No,
I probably should have kept my mouth shut.
No. She's very, very, very cringy.
What do you think of Angela? I mean, not
Angela.
Andrea.
Who's Angela?
Angela Kang is the showrunner who's currently in charge of The Walking Dead at this point in the new seasons. But Andrea, Matt, what did you think of her up to this point? Did you like her? Were you annoyed by her or just indifferent?
I was indifferent.
I just find her, and what's bad, I told Jessi I feel bad because like Lori Holden is her name in real life, and I don't dislike her because she's actually a really, like, she's badass. Like, you can look it up. She went undercover, put herself in harm's risk to bust this huge sex trafficking operation and saved a lot of little kids.
Girl power.
I mean, like she's a badass. I mean, and she really risked her life to do that. So I have the utmost respect for her as a human being. But with that said, the character Andrea just gets on every nerve I have.
Well, man, in the canoe, when they were being all sentimental, in the very beginning of it, it's like they were crying or whatever. But then, like, a second later, she's fine and she's like smiling.
Yeah.
And that really kind of was like, what happened?
Dad, you know Dad's rule.
But
don't cry on the boat.
And her sister was still like crying and she was fine. And I don't know.
Number one, you grew up, your dad's a big fisher, has had boats, and you've been on the boat with your dad a lot. Have you ever cried on the boat?
No, but
I've never had a reason to cry on a boat.
I don't cry.
Don't rock
True.
Especially on boats.
True. But like Dad's like what was happening on these fishing trips that was making you cry? So your dad had to make that rule.
Maybe they like got a bite and then they missed it and it felt like a good bite. So then a little
That's a
girl,
good point. That's a good point.
So,
they were disappointed they didn't actually get the fish and they cried about it.
No crying in the boat, yo.
Matt, did you cry in your dad's boat growing up?
When fish do not commit, I cried.
You cried? Oh, when fish wouldn't commit.
Yeah, like they'll bite and they're like, bleh.
Well, that's why they call it fishing and not biting.
Like, dang it, fish.
Let me put a hook in your mouth. I've always, and I mean, I love fishing, but it's fair catch and release, but it's like that does suck for the fish. I mean, you put a sharp hook through their lip.
And my dad growing up, he always told me that brains.
You're thinking about zombies.
He said that the fish's brains were too small to feel pain, and I think he told me that so I didn't feel bad.
Throughout history, we've said like lobsters, they don't feel it when you boil them alive, and then people are like, they do. Well, wait, no, they don't. Science says they do. Science says they don't. So who knows?
Of course they do. They're animals. Come on.
I mean, that fish could be getting eaten, so a little hole in the lip to be released is a price to pay. I think.
Well, okay,
Some
but
people pay for that.
Yeah,
that's true. That is true. We eat our fish though that we catch. So.
We ate some like catfish. We loved eating catfish, so we'd keep catfish. Crappy. It depends on who's cooking it.
It was just crappy.
I remember one time I got this big ugly carp, and my mom said they don't feel pain, just whack it real quick and kill it.
No.
But no, it gets worse. It gets worse. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna whack this fish, I guess. And my mom says it's okay just to whack it, and then it'll die. But I'm like whacking its body, so it's
this hurts so bad. Why won't this guy just put me out of my misery?
Right?
So I didn't know he's supposed to like smash it on the head and just give it one swift blow to the head and be done with it. So I'm just beating the piss out of this poor carp.
I'll get back to The Walking Dead in a second, but that makes me think of that. Have you ever seen that movie Sex Drive?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
It's old, but it's gold. It's so funny. But it's a scene. The guy's kind of a wussy, the main character, and it's like they hit this. What was like a rat? They hit some animal on the side of the road, right? And he's like all tore up about it. He's like, it's suffering. I have to put it out of its misery. And then he goes and he gets like a crowbar and he hits it, and he's like, ugh, and he dramatically walks away, and all of a sudden the thing makes noise, and he's like. And he like kind of tries to walk away again. He's like, damn it. And it won't die.
Dang.
It's like, that's how I imagine Matt was with the fish.
I'm just beating this fish with a stick and it's not dying.
The fish was like, it's one thing to pull me out of my home with a hook in my lip. Right? Now this guy is beating me.
Fish bleed too, so.
But back to the episode. One thing that was interesting is that they kind of delved, I don't know if you call it supernatural, but Jim's premonition.
Yeah.
Like Jim has this dream and gets kind of crazy and starts digging all these graves because he had a dream.
There.
And then by the end, he's like, I'll remember my dream now. And it's like they kind of hint towards a premonition, but then it goes nowhere. Like there's nothing supernatural. One commenter had said that Frank Darabont, who only directed this season and I think parts of 2, had wanted the zombies to be a little bit more intelligent, not at our level, but that's why you see one holding a rock and Morgan's wife remembering where she lived and turning the knob. Like there's a little echo of them still in there. But then as they changed showrunners, they completely got away from that and just made the zombies completely mindless. But it's almost as if they were delving into the supernatural with like a premonition. and then not. You reacted hardcore when Jim took a swing at Shane.
Well, yeah, because like, what the heck, man?
I know.
Like,
Maybe
everybody's just concerned for him, and he's just gonna, like, what if he had actually hit him, and killed him? Like, what the fuck, man?
I really like that scene with Shane, because up to this point you think Shane is a hothead, no doubt, but like, Shane, knowing that he used to be a cop and the difference between the way he handled Earl and the way he handled Jim, I've always really liked that scene, because he was real nice to Jim.
Yeah.
Jim's like, what are you going to do? And, he's telling him, like, I'm not going to do anything, man. I'm just asking you to, to put down the shovel and talk to me. And even when Jim attacked him, like, he tackled him, but he didn't, like, beat him up. Like, he was still very empathetic to Jim.
Yeah.
Tied him up, brought him water.
Restrain him.
I thought he was going to beat him up there for a second.
And that's right. That's the thought. And that's what I liked about that scene with Shane's character is, like, he's not a complete asshole. He just, like, Earl was bad. Well, number one, bad timing for Earl, because that was when the whole Rick coming back thing happened.
Yeah.
And he lost his shit and beat the whole ever living hell out of Ed. I keep calling him Earl. Ed. He looks like a Earl.
He does.
But Ed. But then on top of that, he smacked his wife. So like he had a good. I don't think anybody I know would be upset if they witnessed a guy smack their girlfriend and then get the shit beat out of
That was
him.
the one time I was rooting for Shane.
Oh yeah, that was so one-sided. He beat the
Because-
shit
Right.
out of Ed. And speaking of Ed, did you enjoy watching Ed get munched on this episode?
I did. Yeah.
It wasn't a little creepy the way like when Carol and Sophia were going to go eat and she's asking Ed like, come on, everybody's ready to eat. And he's like, why don't you stay and keep your daddy company?
Yeah, that was creepy.
Like, even if he didn't mean it in a creepy way, like it sounded creepy.
It did. And then he got offended when the girl wanted to go eat. Like, I'm sorry.
Ain't no need to be bothering me no more.
I gotta eat, Dad.
I'm sorry my biological needs have to be met.
Right?
Sorry, I need sustenance, Dad.
Physical and sociological needs.
Also, because the girl went to go pee, and then that's when the zombie showed up at the tent. But I was thinking it was the girl, and I was like, oh, is he going to rape her? Like, I thought that's what was going to happen.
Oh, cool fact. The zombie that bites Amy. Mm-hmm. Also, the zombie that it took the whole camp to kill until Daryl showed up and one-shotted
Yeah.
it. Both of those, if I'm remembering correctly, both of those are actually the makeup artist, Greg Nicotero himself. Because those scenes, I know the zombie that they killed, it took all of them did.
Yeah.
And I'm like 99.9% sure the one that bit Amy is also Greg Nicotero, because it was just a certain way it needed to be done. And he was like, I'll do it. So that's actually the guy who is responsible for making all the zombies
That is
look the way they look.
He could
Easy.
make the zombie, but he could never be one.
What I love too, if you pay attention, you find a lot of extras in this episode you've never noticed. Like there have been extras in episodes up to this point, yes, but you never really notice them until they're all a bunch of red shirts.
Well, because like when they're at the camp, you know the people in the camp because they're like the only people on Earth, right? What they think they are. But then all these extra people are showing up. You're like, where did they come from?
They needed people to kill.
Yeah.
Dude, that is like
we needed cannon fodder.
And then you had the guy who looked like Morales
Right?
get killed right before we see Morales like beating a zombie, which I didn't even think about. When I saw it, I thought it was him. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, he was wearing a blue shirt. And then they immediately show him behind. But if you pay attention when Amy's bit, and Jim and Andrea goes running, and for whatever reason she falls. I don't know. Andrea falls
Because
a
she's
lot.
dramatic.
She's got very weak ankles.
But if you pay attention to the way Jim takes the bat and he hits the zombie that bit Amy, and then he just kind of, Jim hits it, and then he's just kind of like, what am I supposed to do now? And then he just kind of walks off. You go back and rewatch that scene, it's kind of funny because Jim smacks the zombie with the bat, and the zombie falls, and Andrea's rushing to Amy, and Jim's just kind of like,
oh well.
and then just like walks off like,
Just another day
right, just another day of
in the zombie apocalypse.
smacking zombies in the face. But no, I hate that all the people in that nursing home die. But that was like, you can find it online. There's a whole deleted scene. I probably have it on the DVD where they do go back and it's just the place is decimated.
That would like shatter your whole being because it really looked like a safe haven, and you go back a short while after and it's like it's all just
I think they should have kept it because that's the point, is to make you feel like there's no safe place. Like you think you've got a safe haven, but there's not. And even though it's not technically canon, I consider it canon. But if you want to, I guess you could just imagine that they are still to this day just living in the nursing home.
True.
Though in the show, we're like, 12 years into the apocalypse now? So, I mean, I'm sure half the people in the nursing home have died from old age.
Yeah,
let's do a fan script rewrite where we rewrite where the gang lives in that nursing home.
For the whole rest of the show. No governor, no Negan. No whispers. There's so many cool villains. There's one, and this is not, giving you any spoilers, but there is a villain. You got to wait a long time. Like up season 9, I think, or second half of season 9.
I got a lot of catching.
But they're led by a female badass. But they're villains. But it's really cool because you've had all these male villains up to this point with a few minor females.
A very strong female villain.
But this is one where like the female is. She's a beast.
She is the creme de la creme of villains.
And see, some people, she's also English, and some people made fun of her accent because she talked really like this. But I really loved her character, man. I thought she just now Sarah Paulson was originally looked at to. Do you know who Sarah Paulson is?
Yeah,
American. She's one of my favorite actors ever. She was being looked at to play this role, and when I had heard about that, man, I was so stoked, and I was kind of bummed that she didn't, but the girl who did a wonderful job. Back to episode 4. We got a long ways for you to get to that, but you got so much ahead of you, man.
I'm excited.
Watch at least 40 episodes a day now, please.
Yeah,
we got to catch you up.
It's required. No kidding. If you watched 40, it'd still take you several days to get caught
up. Y'all don't even realize. The only TV in my house that I can watch The Walking Dead on is in the living room, and I live with my parents with 2 children, so that's just like impossible.
Yeah.
And the only time I get to watch is on the weekends when my parents are gone.
Well, we look forward to wrapping up this series in the year 2054.
Well, if you want to, you're always welcome to come over here just to watch an episode.
After World War IV.
Yeah, I would also have to bring the kids for that, so that just defeats the purpose. But
I got Benadryls.
Put the kids out. Mama's watching Walking Dead.
What I need to do is we have Netflix, but it's it comes I don't think we have a password and a username and all. It comes with our Xfinity or whatever. So I can't log into Netflix on my computer. If I could do that, I could do it.
Oh, well, then I'll give you our login.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'll give you our login.
If that was the case, I can watch it wherever, whenever.
I mean, I know that's technically against Netflix rules, but hey, it's
terms of agreement.
It's for the podcast.
Hey, I mean, technically I
this
have Netflix.
This is a business expense.
So exactly. It's okay. They're not missing out on anything because I have Netflix in my house. So.
Okay, true. Yeah, you have it.
Right.
You're just going to borrow mine.
Right. For the computer.
So Lori, at this point, are you still, because Lori didn't have a huge part in this episode, are you still kind of indifferent to her?
I'm really wondering, are they going to bring up the situation with her and Shane again, or is that just a thing of the past?
It will be brought up.
I think it makes a few more honorable mentions.
Okay.
And what about Shane up to this point? Are you still kind of not liking Shane?
Yeah, I still don't like Shane very much.
I just liked Shane.
I did too. I just felt like Shane was honestly just in a shitty situation, man. I mean,
he put himself in a shitty situation.
Well, it takes 2 to tango. It takes 2 to tango.
Exactly.
Lori let him hit it.
Which is why I don't like her either.
Well, the thing is, it's like with Shane, it's number one, drama brings people close together, for one. And actually, I know that I learned this in my controversial issues class. When it's something in our brains that, when you're in a genocidal situation or people are dying, people hump a lot in those situations.
That is so weird.
So when you had the Tutsis and the it was in Rwanda. It was that genocide between the two tribes, the Tutsis and the God. I got a book about it. No, it was
and the Footsies.
No,
the Tootsies and the Rolls.
No. It was a very serious situation. Lots of people were hacked up with machetes.
I've never heard.
Children
of this.
were hacked up with machetes. It was awful.
I take back the Rolls.
It was the Tutsis, and it was but anyways, it was a genocide. One tribe was just decimating another tribe, just genocide. The pregnancy rate went through the roof because there's something in your brain where you feel like, I guess your species is being eradicated,
Oh, yeah.
you procreate.
Okay.
So it stands to reason that through the traumatic situations they've been through, and it's been a month up to this point, at least. So it's like, if not more. So, they think Rick is dead, and good reason. The last time they saw him, he was in a hospital, not responsive. And they know. So in the apocalypse, I mean, do you want to get a relationship going with a complete stranger or somebody you know and you trust? Lori knows Shane. She's known him a long time.
Why would
She
you get in
trusts
a
him.
relationship at all? You're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
I mean, that's when you would need it more than ever.
I don't know.
You need to
How
feel
are
like.
you gonna raise a baby in a zombie apocalypse?
I mean, that's
See,
a
to
whole
me,
different subject than having a relationship, though. Because
Baby
having a
would be a good
relationship.
baby.
Okay, but the whole point is what you're saying is to procreate because the world
Don't mean we're past the point where we're like, you're still smart enough to pull out and not have a baby. But my point is that you still, the urge to make whoopee is there.
Oh, I got you.
But they know and trust each other. It would bring them close together. I mean,
That's true.
it's an understandable situation. Like, she's with this whole group of strangers living in this camp. He's the only person, and you'll see. I mean, this is, I guess, kind of a slight spoiler, but you get some flashbacks. I'll tell you that.
She'll eventually get to hear about your and JP's little romantic involvement.
What? You weren't supposed to tell people about that.
No, but the
he
thing
said
that you
he
guys
loved
made
me.
up.
Oh, the Barn of Pleasures?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, just wait till you get to the Barn of Pleasures.
Yay.
The Barn of Pleasures.
I've heard.
Oh, it's a good time.
But-
I want T-shirts made.
I know.
Like the
That's
barn.
a pretty high request too from your.
It is. I'm gonna have to take that over because JP's just so busy. Because JP's got all the podcasting dead T-shirts, and it's supposed
he
to
has
be
T-shirts.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want one.
They're pretty dope T-shirts.
Can I
too.
have one?
Yeah, I'm
on the podcast now. I need one.
I'm gonna ask JP if I can just get the box and then mail them out too, because JP's just got a lot. He's working 2-3 jobs, and he's got some stuff going on, and then so JP's got a lot on his plate.
Busy.
So I'm gonna see if he'll be willing to give me the shirts and let me mail them out. But yeah, absolutely. Well, y'all are patrons, so technically they go out to all patrons. So y'all get one
I miss
automatically.
hearing JP's sultry radio voice.
Do you?
Yeah.
His sultry radio voice.
Now that man has a voice for radio.
But anyways, the point is, I understand that it's like, oh, that was your friend, whatever. But I understand the situation, man. You got to really see it from their point of view.
Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I feel like I probably would do the same thing as Lori did. For real, do
you want to hook up
probably would.
with Dale or Shane?
But see, I don't know if I would want
Dale's
it.
got it big in the pants.
Oh, you'll find that out later episode 2. You see
What?
Dale.
Season 2, episode 2, you see Dale's fat.
How do we find this out? I don't even want to
He
know.
exposes himself.
He does.
Oh, is this a joke? Because
is.
you thought that's what they said.
Yeah.
Also, I was gonna say there's one commenter who is pretty sure that it's been way over a month.
Oh, I know. That's Seth. That's a friend of mine. Yeah, he just is he's messaged me about it. I'm like,
Wait, is that the guy that?
If you look at it, it says, whatever. But you'll see later. You'll see why he has his discrepancies in episode 6 of this season. There's something. It could be a continuity issue with the show. But anyways, is he the one that what?
Is he the one we podcasted with that one time?
Yeah, for the Weird Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Seth. But yeah, but I understand Shane's situation, and it's like when you find too, Shane never meant it in a disrespectful way to Rick. It's not like he was lusting after Lori before the world ended.
And Rick is still around and present.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you think your best friend is dead. And they know each other. Rick and Shane were partners as police officers, and they were good friends. So this guy, you trust him, and he's protecting you and your son. Of course, you're naturally going to be like,
Yeah,
well, if
you're
I'm going to
right.
get with somebody,
right.
this is probably going to be the one.
This is solid logic, but I have a question. Since I don't know why he told Lori that Rick was dead, even though Rick wasn't dead, was it just to save her from hoping that he was alive?
Have you seen the hospital flashback yet?
No.
I know that's slightly a spoiler, but not really. I keep giving out slight spoilers, even though I said no spoilers.
Is this when he brought the flowers?
No.
Okay.
There's another flashback
No,
that
I
will
haven't
kind of.
seen it.
So you'll get that. Shane is like I said, man. I genuinely Shane does some shitty things, but Shane really is kind of put in a shitty situation.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Shane to the date is one of my favorite characters on the whole show.
Okay, well, look, I trust your judgment.
Matt likes Shane too.
I like him, yeah.
So
I don't know Matt enough to trust his judgment.
I don't even trust my judgment. I trust nobody, not even myself.
I don't even trust myself. Oh man, I'm trying to think of what all we get in this episode, man.
I wouldn't trust my judgment either, honestly, now that I think about it.
Weird premonition,
Terrible
the weird
judgment.
nursing home.
We have the premonition that really goes nowhere past that point. We have
so that's why I dig those holes, buddy. You're in an apocalypse. People are gonna die.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe getting into the writing aspect, maybe they weren't trying to get supernatural. Maybe they were just talking about the trauma that people have been through. Like they're so used to seeing people die that he had a nightmare where everyone, because I would imagine in that situation, you always have that lingering thought in the back of your mind, like it's only a matter of time.
Right.
And so, maybe they weren't trying to go to supernatural premonition and they were just thinking more like this is the trauma that he's been through. And you heard him. Did you hear him? I know my daughter was talking your head off the whole episode, but
she's precious.
He when Shane tackled him and he was laying on the ground and Shane was like, nobody's going to hurt you. And he's like, that's a lie. It's the biggest lie you've ever told.
Because that's what he told his family. And then he said the only reason he's alive is because the dead was eating his family so he could get away.
Yeah. So
that is so sad.
It is. And so maybe just the trauma of that, he just had a nightmare and it just happened to coincide with like the day before the camp day. I mean, it's a wild coincidence, but maybe they weren't trying to make it supernatural. But.
Well, it was definitely full circle there. So
we've established favorite characters up to this point. Yours is Dale and Glenn. Yours was whom?
I like Rick, Shane, and
Daryl. Oh, and T-Dog.
And then Daryl too.
Daryl was starting to come around.
He starts. They start character building him more that episode.
Yeah. I think up to this point, I was kind of like Matt. I liked Rick. I liked Shane. I mean, if you don't like T-Dog, you're wrong.
Right?
Like, you're just wrong.
Who could not like him? I mean, unless you're like Merle, and in which case, just go, bleep yourself.
Go chain yourself to a roof.
Right, exactly.
I love that, like, I wonder what Daryl's logic was, though, with keeping Merle's hand.
I've been wanting to bring this up this whole...
It's like a lucky rabbit's foot.
Right? Like...
He puts it on a keychain.
Oh, gross.
I mean, but like, I wonder if his thought was, of course, in the modern times, you're told if you lose an appendage, like, try to save it, put it on ice, because there's a chance they could reattach it.
There is no chance. But who's going to reattach that?
That was my point. I was going to say, but in the apocalypse, that's not really an option.
No.
I mean, it's one thing in modern society, but you...
Honestly, though, like...
you need a hella hand surgeon for that.
If it's your family and you're that close and you do weird shit. Like, I would probably do that for one of my kids. I'd probably take the hand if
That's
it was one of
a really good point. Yeah, when it is family and a dire situation like that, people do some weird shit. Like look at Jackie Kennedy and when John F. Kennedy got shot in the head. You can watch on the video. She like climbs to the back of the car and grabs a piece of his skull or brain or something and gets back. And it's weird. Yeah, so people do weird shit when they see a loved one, in that situation.
President brains are worth a lot of money, so
he's like, I can sell this shit on eBay.
Right, on the black market.
Just got his head blown off, so she needed to wait.
Which back then they didn't have eBay. She was like, I can sell this to somebody.
Well, also, maybe he just didn't have anything of morals, and he was like, I'm going to take it because I don't have nothing else.
Daryl and Merle have a very interesting relationship.
Well, they probably went through a lot of shit together as children.
Jessi's already, that's not even a spoiler. Like, Jessi's already called that this far into it, that Daryl and Merle have been through some trauma as kids.
Yeah.
And we learn a little bit about that later in the show.
Some backstory on that.
Listening to all these crime podcasts, all these murder podcasts that taught me that was childhood trauma.
That is a commonality when you watch like those, because Caitlin and I love like true crime documentaries and stuff. And then like when you have this psycho murderer, it does always start with like his daddy used to molest him.
Yes.
Or like his uncle one time molested him.
It's like a lot of times these kids don't even have a chance, It's
like you kind of feel bad for them. Like, yeah, it's effed up all the stuff they did, but then you learn like with the exception being like Jeffrey Dahmer, who straight up in an interview was like, my parents have nothing to do with this. I had very kind, loving parents. They did nothing wrong to me growing up. Some people just snap, but
most of the
a lot of time there's some childhood trauma that makes people be that way. What do you think of Merle, Matt? I mean, of course, we can't go too far with it, but up to this point, what did you think of Merle?
I didn't like Merle. I think he's just too obnoxious.
That's a good word for him. Last
episode, we were talking about it, and I'd like to get your opinion. We were talking about, was Merle worth saving?
No.
That was quick.
Yeah.
Because Jessi and I were talking about it, and it's like, yeah, on the surface, absolutely not. I mean, he's a hothead. He already has assaulted many members of the group and shown that
he's too much of a risk. I just say, I just leave him.
No benefit to the group unless he's fighting someone who's attacking you. But with that said, still, could you live with having that's a terrible way to die. To be left chained to a roof to basically thirst to death.
Yeah.
And I mean, or if zombies were to break through the door, you're handcuffed to a rail and just have to sit there while they eat you. Could you live with leaving someone like that, even though they are a piece of shit?
I think given the extenuating circumstances of a zombie apocalypse, it would be a lot easier to let that go and move on with your life.
That's a good point. That's a good point. With all you're dealing with, it's like...
It sucks. Man, things were better. I wouldn't have to kill this guy, but I mean, hey, here we are, zombie apocalypse. Sorry, buddy, you were a D-bag. You got to die.
Plus, I feel like if I had him around, I'd be worried that he was going to kill me just because I pissed him off for the smallest little thing, you know?
Yep.
So
if they kept Merle on the team, the season would be should be over after the first season.
And he'll kill everybody.
Killed.
And everybody was killed by Merle.
Merle reenacted the Crusades and took over half of zombie North America.
I found Felipe's cousin, the little kid, to be very annoying.
I mean,
he just said a lot of dumb shit. He's like, what kind of hick name is Merle? I wouldn't even name my dog Merle.
Well, I'm with him on that.
But then he's like, just so you know, Guillermo's going to pull that arrow out of my ass and stick it up your ass.
I like that line. I liked him.
I wasn't a fan.
I did like him.
Well, of course, look at your dating history.
Exactly.
You would have totally dated that kid.
But listen,
he was a skinny, half tatted up kid with slick hair.
He did not have. He had stupid hair. But you're absolutely correct about that. But I thought that the arrow in the ass comment was good. I liked it.
You know, they had T-Dog sitting up on the roof as a sniper, and I know why Rick did it, and obviously it de-escalated the situation, but I feel like giving away your sniper's position is not a good strategical move. I might have been like, I'll give you a signal and you take a warning shot, maybe shoot the ground near him so that he's aware we have a sniper, but he doesn't know exactly where you are because they had a lot of guns. I mean, they were little pistols, but I mean, I'm pretty sure they could have laid some pretty heavy fire on T-Dog now that they know where he is.
I didn't realize that was T-Dog. I thought it was one of Guillermo's dudes.
No, that was T-Dog.
And it didn't make a lot of sense to me in the moment.
So what, you thought their own sniper turned on him?
Yeah. He went rogue.
I'm helping the cowboy.
He went rogue.
I didn't realize a lot of things, I feel like.
No, I think you've talked like you had a pretty good grasp on the episode. It just seems like at one point you weren't.
I was kind of distracted at a lot of points, so...
Yeah, my little girl just...
She's just so cute. I can't not pay attention to her.
She loves guests. Like when Matt comes over, and sometimes Matt will come over to hang out with me, but we'll spend the first hour
entertaining Ellie
with my daughter because she immediately latches on to him and is like, "Come here, Matt."
She's so cute.
She calls Matt. No, Caitlin will tell you she calls Matt my Matt. Like we were looking at pictures and we're like, who's this? And she's like, my Brad. And we're like, who is this? She's like, my Matt, my Ashley. So Matt's her Matt.
But I'm just Jessi.
Well, at least she knows your name though.
At least she knows what chair I sit in.
She sat in your chair and she was like, Jessi's chair.
Yeah. How would she know that? She's literally never been down here.
She's crazy smart. She's been down here. I brought her down here and actually did
with me though.
Oh yeah, true.
She could feel
she's
my
probably
presence.
Well, she's probably seen me video edit.
She's smart.
I'm telling you, everybody thinks her kid is. No, she's highly intelligent.
Speaking of smart kids, I had a parent-teacher conference with my little girl's teacher. She's in pre-K, and her best friend, she said their art is like way past all the other kids, and I could not have been more proud.
And you're an artist, so it's like, damn. You need to start doing some Walking Dead art. and then you could we could do like giveaways or sell it or something.
Yes, we should. Yeah.
Because for those who don't know, Jessi is a talented artist, and in fact, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of her artworks hanging up in my basement.
Yay.
So that would be dope. You should do some Walking Dead inspired art, and like
But just so everyone knows, it's gonna be glittery and neon colored, but it'll be zombie themed.
It could be red glittery, so it's like blood.
Has she seen Rourke Grams?
Rourke Grams. No, show Jessi Rourke Grams, and then we'll close this out because I think we've covered most of the episode. But I do want you to see. And if you don't know who Rourke Grimes is, pause, go look it up so that you can react with Jessi.
Really excited.
Someone, this artist tried painting a picture of Rick, and I guess it didn't come out the way he was.
It didn't look like Rick.
So they called him Rourke Grams.
Nice.
Rourke Grimes. But yeah, here's this artist's attempt at painting Rick.
That looks like him.
It does. Like it's like you know who it is. It looks like him. Like you know it's him.
I'm Rourke Grimes.
It's better than what I could do.
Oh, no doubt. Like I have one of those. Like I have so much art in my head, but when I put the pen to the paper, none of it looks the way I imagine.
That's how all of my stuff starts out. So don't feel bad.
I'm like, drawing should be easy. I'm just going to draw the way I'm thinking, and it's like, nope. Where's my hand going?
Or like, especially when you're looking at something, like I'm just going to draw what I'm looking at. Nah,
don't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
I still want your Johnny Cash picture.
I don't have that. Wait, do I?
I told you I would buy that from you one time. I'll say if you don't have that anymore,
dude, somebody bought that for me and left it at the gallery for like a year and a half. So I just took it home. I still have it, and you can have it.
I love that picture.
It's in storage right now, but you can have it.
I'd like to put it up next to my record player because most of what I listen to is Folsom Prison Live.
Yes, I have that record.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it? Like you actually get to hear him talk to the audience and everything. Love it.
You know who gave me that record? Berto.
Oh,
and
really?
he found it in an old abandoned house.
Oh, wow.
So freaking crazy. And it's really warped, but you can't tell when you're listening
to it. You know
who
gave me mine?
Me.
JP. Yep. He gave me the Johnny Cash Folsom Live.
That's
he had
crazy.
He had like an extra. JP collects records, so he had a couple of extras. He was like, "Here, man, take this one." I was like, "Dude,
that's crazy."
And I love sitting down here listening to it.
Nice.
But anyway, so that wraps up episode 4 of The Walking Dead. So what we're gonna do is Matt, you hadn't done this yet, but we didn't start doing this until the last episode. But what JP and I used to do is we would rate. It was a discussion and review of the episode. So we would rate the episode at the end of it. What we do is we put our hands where the other ones can't see it on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. So you can, when I say go, you hold up your hand at what you rate it. Now, if you want to do like 1.5, you just kind of poke your thumb out there. So like that would be 3.5. That would be 4.5.
That is so extra.
You know what? We extra.
You do need the half ratings.
That's how the podcasting dead rolls. We extra AF. But anyways, so put the hands where we can't see them, and on the count of 3, rate the episode. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. You gave it a 3.5
out of 5.
That's 70%. That's passing.
Yeah, I mean it's passing. I thought you liked this episode though.
I did, but it had a very, very, very stupid start out.
Oh, with the boat?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all.
Well, it's like they go to put all this character. It's like it would make sense if they were going to use that later to like really define the character. Like, like if that really, but it didn't. It just kind of.
It was mostly cringy for me.
There's no crying on the boat. Matt, what did you rate it?
4.
I did a 4 as well.
Well, I was going to do a 4 until you tell me about the half.
She was, yeah.
And I just wanted to use it. So
now I want to be a little extra.
Yeah, she was
I want to be extra too.
Yeah, I thought it was. I remember even when I watched it, I thought it was good. But
good serious moments, good funny moments.
I did feel, and they are, I don't know, maybe that's how they talk, but I did feel like the Vatos, they said essay a ton, and maybe that's just how they. But like, if you pay,
notice.
If you pay attention, Felipe, the one that was in the Fast and the Furious, like at one point he says essay twice in the same sentence. And I mean, maybe that's how he talks. So I'm not, but it's sometimes you wonder, like when white people write Spanish roles or they write like black roles, do they, You know what I mean? Like, did a white person write that and just throw essay in every other line?
That's
Or
exactly what happened.
and it totally might not have, like if I was writing a show, especially as sensitive as the world is today, like if I was writing for Hispanic people, I would write like the lines, but I would be like improvise it, say it the way that you would say it.
Exactly. Or I would get some insight from an actual Spanish person.
Like, is
or
this
like,
how should I write this line?
Right.
So I don't know, but it's just like he's like, come on, essay, let me shoot this fool essay. And I was like, it's 2 essays in like less than 2 seconds.
So I work with 2 Hispanic people, and they speak Spanish to each other all day, so I never know what's going on. And so
they're talking shit about you, just so you know.
I literally thought that for like the first month I was there. So in the show, when the abuela was talking Spanish and I looked at you, that was like my instinct to look at my friend Crystal to know what is going on, because at work she's the one that tells me what's going on when they're speaking Spanish. So I looked at you like you were going to tell me what she was saying.
Abuela is Spanish for grandmother.
Well, I know that, but
he have his troubles, but he pull himself together. We need him here.
She's so precious.
She was a sweet little grandma, and now she's dead.
And now she's dead.
Well, according to that deleted scene.
Okay, so are all the dudes dead too?
It's insinuated.
Very.
I mean, you don't see dead Hispanic Ludacris, but like you assume he's.
Well, they
dead.
couldn't even use that bag of guns anyway.
I like.
Maybe they should have had the bag of guns, and that would have saved their lives.
Well, and I might be wrong, but I thought I might be 100% wrong, but that bag came from the police station. I thought the bag had something on it that signified like police, that he put all the guns on. So when the guy's like, anybody could say it was theirs, bro. I'm wearing.
Right.
I got the uniform.
I'm clearly a cop, and that was a police bag. I mean, I'm just saying, it's mine.
I really thought Rick was going to be like, my name is on all of these guns, and it was going to literally be etched on all the guns.
Wart Grimes. What'd you say your name was? Rick Grimes. This is Wart Grimes' gun.
Officer friendly.
I'm officer. That's what it says. It's got a smiley face. Thought you said your name was Rick. They called me.
It was a good episode overall.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4. I just got excited about being extra.
You don't get to take it back. Once you make your rating,
this score's locked in.
All right, well, I would have given it a 5 if it wasn't for that beginning, and the beginning took it a 1.5 points off. So
and once you see the rest of the show, you'll really go back and be like, wow, that scene was pointless.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like I said, most of the time it's like a tool to develop your characters. You know, like you're really getting a feel for Andrea's psyche, so the decisions she makes later kind of makes sense. So you see why she acts the way she acts, but then it's just like, all right, so we're going to do that, and then we're not going to really play on that at all. You were meant to catch him, and I was meant to let him go.
They were figuring stuff out.
You
within
remember
the
Dad's
show.
rule in the boat? No crying.
No crying in the boat.
I'm okay.
Yeah, we're good now. Stop crying. Don't be a little bitch.
But anyways, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much to Jessi and Matt. Matt, it was super fun having you here. I would love it if you would go on this retro revisiting journey with us.
Maybe I will.
Maybe he will.
You should.
And for the patrons out there, don't forget, Matt and I just did another Patreon cast that's available now, and we talk about a little bit of everything. So, check that out.
Just for 17 cups of coffee a day.
we were talking about on the Patreon cast. You know, like, I don't want to work no more. Like, I want a podcast and get paid for it. And it was like, listen, for the small price of 17 cups of coffee a day, you can help support my podcasting dream. You know, all those commercials would be like, for kids, it'd be like, for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can save a child. For the cup of 17 Starbucks coffees a day, you can support my podcasting career.
It's not worth it.
But go check it out. And if you're not a patron, get subscribed, because I'm telling you, that is how we do this. I would not be able to have this setup and this sweet board and these mics and all of that if it was not for patrons.
Right.
So if you want, you guys said you screamed for more Walking Dead content. So we're really focused on that right now.
Your holes.
I'm doing it for y'all.
So go support the Patreon so that we can keep doing the podcast. Even $1 a month helps.
Well, plus I've been using my kid's gaming headphones, which I have to rent from him, and now they're broken.
Right.
So if I want a podcast,
did you get the renter's insurance on that?
No.
Always get the
Unfortunately not. So now I have to go buy. I'm gonna have to just go buy him new headphones. So I'll have headphones to use at home when we podcast.
That's the next Patreon money purchase. Is we got to buy Jessi a home studio setup because we have her here in the studio tonight. But with kids in life, sometimes it's not easy to just get over here and do it. So some of them we do them remotely. So it would really help to be able to buy Jessi a nice home mic headphone
nice
setup.
like a little office space. Like I got mine pretty much up where I want it to be. You got the camera nice level. Got the microphone that you gave me.
Yep.
And I can
that
have
I
an
let you
You
borrow.
said yep. You said yep. Too late.
Nope. Matt never uses it anyways.
Yes, I do.
No, you use your AirPods because they don't communicate well.
That's to put the sound into my ears.
Also, well, the problem is they conflict because your computer wants to use your AirPods.
Sometimes it'll try to.
So what we need to do is we need Patreon dollars for two different things. One, to buy Matt a nice set of headphones so he doesn't have to use his AirPods, so he can just plug his headphones in and go. And then to get Jessi a home studio setup, we need to get you a set of headphones, a decent mic.
Yeah.
I would prefer you use analog. I think it sounds better, but we could find you a decent.
I don't know the difference between anything. So.
Long story short, just give us your money.
Yeah.
Right.
Please, I asked nicely.
This reminds me of that scene from Bridesmaids when she's like, "Help me, I'm poor."
Yes. Yes. But anyways, we will see you soon for episode 5. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
Meta dubs.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. We'll catch you later.